So today's class is going to be a class of two halves, but all connected. It's to do with the kinetic chain, how we're connected to the floor and how the energy moves through the body as we're walking. And it's the first half is about forward head posture. And the second half, hopefully if I've got enough time, I don't talk too much, will be from the floor to the belly button, so the legs. So forward head posture. So in an ideal posture for the neck, your ears should line up with the center of your shoulder, but quite often you'll see people with the ears quite a long way forward from the shoulders, and that's going to cause a lot of pain and deformation in the cervical vertebra, the tightness in the muscles. What causes it? We sort of think it's a neck thing, but really the neck is the reaction to what's going on down here in the pelvis. So, you know, it comes from things like sitting badly and sitting for too long. So if you're on your computer, you tend to go into this slump position. If you're watching television, maybe reading for long periods of time. And so as your pelvis goes into the slump and your spine becomes very curved, what will happen is, in reaction to that, is your head drops down. Okay, and then if you're looking at a computer screen or a television screen, then you have to correct that by lifting your head up. So you're in that rounded spine with your head lifted up. So you've got the deformation in the cervical vertebra, you've got the overload in the neck muscles, and then you're going to get pain and discomfort. So how do you address this? Well, we're going to start first of all with 3 exercises. I'm just going to take my chair off to the side. Come to your mat. So a simple way to address this is to start to strengthen the pelvis, and a really good exercise for that is a roll back, and we do them all the time in Pilates. So you've got your hands under your knees and you're going to just tuck your tailbone under, rounding back. You can feel your abs are working, your spine is getting a nice stretch. Try not to bring your head up into an unnatural position. So you're looking forward and down, neutral neck. If you look up, you'll notice your neck starts to become too active, and then come back up. So you're rolling away. So what this does is it's going to stretch your back muscles, strengthen your abs, but there's a lot of hip flexor activity. So you're strengthening the hip joint and the hip hinge and the hip flexor muscles, and then you're coming back up, and you could lift your head up at the last minute. So you're rounding away. So we're going to do 10. So in most Pilates classes, I start with this exercise. And again, you should feel your hip flexors, because that's one of the things we're doing to work on the kinetic chain, strengthen the pelvis and the leg muscles and the hip flexors, so that what's above it doesn't have to compensate. So you're rounding away, you're holding. And if you're not sure if your hip flexors are working in this, you could grab your roller. If you put your feet on the roller, that switches off your hip flexors. Suddenly you notice it's a lot harder. So now it's just all the abs. The hip flexors are getting a little bit of a rest, so the abs have to work a bit harder. So we're not going to do it that way, because we want the hip flexors to be getting stronger. So we're just rounding away, holding. You come back up in the neutral neck, and then you could look forward at the last minute. So you're rounding away. You're feeling your front body working really strong. You're feeling those strong hip flexors. You come back into upright, and then just lifting to look forward. So round away. This is about 8. Hold, deepen the belly, come back up, lift the head, look forward. Last time, rounding. Come back up, lift the head. So if you sit in this position, we should be strong enough that we can sit in an upright position, and we're strong enough in our hip complex and our hip flexors to sit fairly comfortably in this position. If we're slumping backwards, that shows there's quite a lot of weakness in the hip hinge, weakness in the pelvis, and then, you know, something else is going to have to compensate to do the work that's doing. So we should be fairly confident, competent in just sitting in that upright position, And that's something that Pilates is going to give you. So come back to your chair. That was the first one, and that was the easiest one on the floor. So we'll put the chair back. So another thing that addresses forward head posture are some of the vagal nerve releases. So we're going to start with the suboccipital release, and also this is just to bring you into a very receptive open state. 2 fingers on the muscles at the back of the skull, on the rim of the skull, and you're just rubbing inwards and outwards. So I find this one is one of my favorites, but I always find that this one is probably the most technical of all of them if you want to get really good at it. If you're not sure, you just rub. So you're rubbing the myofascia at the base of the, underneath the occiput, the round part of the skull. So if you want to get a little bit more technical with this, just one hand, just rub in and out and just see if you can determine which direction is a little bit more stiff. So one way it will glide and the other way you sort of feel like it sort of gets stuck. So if you can figure out which that direction is, just move into the what I would call stuckness. So where you pull and it sort of stops, just hold in that position, light pressure. And what you're doing with the light pressure is you're sending a signal through the vagal nerve into the brain. Take notice of this muscle. It's a little bit too tense, and just let it relax. So when you're working on the nervous system, light pressure, it's just about sending the signal through the nerve. So these suboccipital muscles, they're around C1 and C2, and they can compress if we get stressed and upset. And then they compress the blood supply and the nervous supply in this area. So really important to keep them relaxed. And say if you're reading a book and your chin is just slightly tucked, you could be overworking these muscles. So now try the other side. So you're just rubbing inwards and outwards, and you're going along the myofascia, and you're trying to find where there's no glide. So one way it will go really smooth, and then the other way you sort of feel like it's a bit stiffer. So just gently pull against that stiffness. Gentle pressure. So it's not about massaging the muscles, it's about sending a message through the nervous system into the brain. Why is this muscle so stiff and tight? Have a look at it. And even doing this, you're going to get the swallow, the sigh, the yawn. So it's called polyvagal techniques. Poly meaning many. And we've got 12 cranial nerves that come out from the brain stem. They all go to different places and do different things. So then that's about the same time. And then just go back to the inward and the outward. So if you haven't got the brain space to focus on any of that, you just want to do the gentle rub, then you're just trying to restore glide through the myofascial system here, the muscles here, and the fascia. So that's a sort of a quick fix. Feels really lovely. And now think about if you feel, last week we looked up at the ceiling and you feel the vertebra that's just below the rim of the skull, that is C2. So keep your finger on C2 and look forward again. And now you're going to go just up and down the sides of C2, light pressure. So there's suboccipital muscles that run in a vertical direction. We're just looking at those as well. So we've got some that are horizontal, some that are vertical, and then there's some that cut across in a sort of a diagonal as well. So we're just looking at that triangle. The triangle is where that indentation is at the back of the skull. We won't do it, but if you wanted to, you could figure out which direction has got the stuckness, and then again, gentle pressure. But just for time, we'll just go up and down. And then go diagonally to the base, to the rim of the skull. Light pressure, just a rub. You always want to feel that the skin is moving. So you're creating glide in the superficial fascia. Don't look down because that tightens the muscles. You're looking forward. Okay, so your neck should feel quite nice after that. So that also, if you work on L1 and C1 and C2, the atlas and the axis, That also helps to bring you back into that correct position with the skull. So now keep the shoulders down, right ear to right shoulder, and you're bending from behind the ears, and you're just going to look up at what would be 1 o'clock. So different nerve now. So one of the most important things this does, it does a whole list of things, of about 20 things that happens when you do these vagal nerve releases. But one of the main things is it brings you into a very alert state, very receptive. There's my nice deep breath. So if you get your deep breath, you just support your head, you bring your head up. If not, stay there a little bit longer, and then shoulders down, moving from behind the ears, pivoting left ear to left shoulder, and you're looking up to what would be maybe 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whichever applies to you. You get a nice stretch in your scalenes as you do this as well, the muscles in the sides of the neck. Scalenes are sort of silent muscles, but they cause a lot of trouble when they're too tight. Often in the shoulders and in the arms, not so much in the neck, but radiating downwards. A nice deep breath. So support the head to bring it back into center, and then just move your neck and just relax the muscles that might feel a bit tight from being off at one side. So the next exercise, I want you to put your feet on the floor, so come forward a bit on your chair. Link your fingers behind your head, but not pulling on the neck at all. And I want you to just breathe in and arch backwards. So if I show you from the side, you're going to breathe in and arch. And then you're going to breathe out and you're going to round, but you're not going to pull on your neck. So to get rid of some of that forward posture, we're looking at the thoracic spine. Breathe in and open. Breathe out and round. No pulling on the neck. If you can't stop yourself pulling on the neck, you could put your hands on top of your head, so you're not using any pressure. So you're going to breathe in to open, breathe out to close. Do it really slow and feel the movement through the rib cage. Breathe in and open. Think of lifting through your heart. Breathing out, rounding where the heart is in the spine. Try not to be moving from the neck in this. Try and be moving from your thoracic spine, or you could think elbows. Elbows forward. Feel the stretch. Do about 10. Breathe in and open. So the breath is helping. Breathing out. So if you're really stiff, if you're very immobile in this area, just slow it down. Not everybody is flexible in their rib cage, but the more you can create movement here, the freer you'll start to feel in your neck. Elbows forward. So breathe in as you expand and open. Breathe out as you close. Pull the belly in towards the spine. So using the abs a little bit is going to help the spine be mobile. Don't think you've got to use a lot of abs, but maybe 10, 20%. So you start to notice it's not just the thoracic, it's also moving into the lumbar spine, even into the sacral spine. So we're really starting to mobilize our spine. Last one. And come back into the neutral, regular sitting position. Just stop for a minute and just assess. So as you become more mobile through here, you'll notice that the neck feels more comfortable. And if you ask someone to look at where your ear is in relation to your shoulder, because we're not very good at judging that ourselves, over time, you should start to see the ears are coming back in line with the center of the shoulders. So the next one, you're going to come forward and you're going to put your chest, you can put your elbows and your chest on your thighs, and I'll do it from the side. You're going to try and keep your chest on your thighs, and you're just going to extend. So you're trying to push forward through the heart, and then gently relax and drop your head. It's quite a strong release. You're going to gently lift your head, but don't pull on the neck, and just Feel like you're pushing forward through the heart. Do it really slow, this one, because it is much stronger. So you're looking into the floor, and then you're lifting your head, but don't make those neck muscles work too hard. And then just keep your chest on your thighs and just push forward through the heart. You start to notice just how stiff you are on some of those muscles in the front of your rib cage, in the front of your spine, in the rib cage. So diaphragm, breathing muscles, muscles of the inside of your spine, multifidi, rotators. There's a whole load of little muscles, spinalis, little tiny muscles here that often don't get very much movement. You can also start to feel, as it gets a bit easier, that you're pulling it, gently pulling your shoulder blades down, heart forward. So I don't want you to feel the tension in your neck, and I don't want you to feel huge tension. I just want you to find a little bit more than you would normally do. You could add a breath. So breathing is often the strongest part of any movement. So we do one more. It's a very strong mobilization. Dropping the head, gently coming back up. You can really feel, you know, all through here has had quite a strong workout. So another one we can do that really strengthens these muscles is called YWTL. You come into a capital Y, you reach your fingers up towards the ceiling, and then you're going to pull your shoulder blades down and together. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Reaching up towards the ceiling. So this is really good to keep a nice straight upper back, and not get that dowager's hump where you're rounded, where you get that big lump in the back of the neck and the head is too far forward and you're very rounded in the upper back. So this corrects this. So you're stretching up. So that's extension, and then depression. You're pulling the shoulder blades down and together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So elevation, extending out from center, and then shoulder blades pull down and together. Depression, inversion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you do it for 5 seconds for maybe 5 times. Roll the shoulders. You can sort of feel these muscles are working now. So the next one was W. So that looks like a W. And you're going to just squeeze the elbows backwards and squeeze your shoulder blades together and get that nice stretch in the chest. Just make sure your neck doesn't react. You don't want to go so far that your neck starts to crane forward. And then just release. So find that perfect amount of tension. You're squeezing back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're releasing. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're really strengthening the muscles in the back of the body, stretching the muscles in the front of the chest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're even strengthening the deep neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you'll feel right sort of just above the shoulder blades, you'll feel the neck. So just move your head. So we're meant to strengthen our neck as well, not overload it, but strengthen it. So we had the Y, we had the W, and now we've got the T. So you're going to turn your palms to the back, and you're just gently going to press backwards and squeeze your shoulder blades together, and just make sure your neck is still comfortable and free to move. So if your neck is uncomfortable and you can't move it, just relax, then you're going too much. So just pressing back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, look to the right, look to the left, releasing. But you are noticing with each of these now that the same muscles are being used and they're getting a little bit tired in a good way. So pressing back. So these are all the muscles that get weakened when we sit in a slumped position over the computer or watching television or reading our books Last one, squeeze the shoulder blades together, look to the right, look to the left, and relax. So you can feel everything in the back of the body is really active now. Roll the shoulders, just move the neck. So although you know your neck muscles work, you should also feel that it feels like you've got more range, feels a little bit freer. So the final one is L. So they do the L like this. So really, we do a double L, and that is our waiter exercise. So you bring your palms, your fingers together, and then you're stretching back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift through the heart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a beautiful opening exercise, this. It's really good. It just opens up the chest muscles, the breathing, strengthens the upper back and the shoulders and the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you keep your elbows in contact with the rib cage so it doesn't turn into a shoulder exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and come back into center. Just roll the shoulders, just move your neck, and you should feel that you feel quite nicely balanced after you've done that one. So coming on to the next one, we're still sitting in the chair. We're going to put our hands behind our head, and we'll just come back to what we started with. We started with feet on the floor. Breathe in and open. That should seem a little bit easier. Breathe out and close. Don't pull on the neck. Breathe in and open. Lift through the heart. Expand the ribs. Breathe out and close. So for me, I can feel that I've got a much better quality of breath now. And my range has increased. It seems a bit easier. And my breath, I can breathe quite a lot deeper. So staying in this position, and we're just going to gently move from side to side. If you feel like you're pulling on your neck, you can put your hands on top of the head, and that gets rid of any temptation to pull on the neck. No pushing down, just feel like your head is pushing up into your hands. So you're just extending one elbow up to the ceiling, stretching into the rib cage again. So as you do this, you could drop the sit bone on the same side as the side that your elbow goes up. Do it gently because it's quite a lot stronger. Try breathing as you take the elbow up and the sit bone down. Try breathing into that side of the rib cage. Okay, now you might feel that that's plenty strong enough, but if you wanted to, you could grab your half roller, put it long ways, so you're putting it underneath your body and you're sitting on it, so that it gives you a little bit more range through the pelvis. So you could put your hands on the bones of your pelvis and drop one sit bone to see how that feels. Come back into center, drop the other sit bone. So go gentle with this because you can really feel those long back muscles getting a stretch. You can allow your body to go to the opposite side. See how that feels. So we're now coming into the middle. We've done the upper part, we've done the thoracic, and now we're in the lumbar part of the kinetic chain. So put your hands either on your head or the back of your head, and as you take your elbow up, drop that sit bone on that side and breathe into that side of the rib cage. And come back into center. So do these slowly because they're very strong releases, and your back will feel so much better after you've done this, but you don't want to ask the back to do too much too soon. So as one elbow goes up, the other elbow goes down. And what you find with people with problems is they try to do this movement from the lumbar spine, and ideally we're doing this from the rib cage. So if you're very stiff in the thoracic spine, you'll try to use your lumbar spine to do this. There is lumbar involvement, but we want most of the movement to be coming through here. So there's a nice curve. The rib cage is opening out. So there's a nice curve going this way. So these movements are absolutely fantastic for when you've got a really stiff back or your SI joints are a little bit locked. You just gently move into these movements. So it's Feldenkrais method. You're always working at a comfortable range, 60 to 65% range. You're not using too much effort, you're using repetition. Okay, so now we're going to advance that. We're going to take the elbow up, drop the sit bone on the same side, but then add a little bit of rotation. If you're not sure about that, you could bring your hands into your chest, drop the sit bone and rotate. So it's a little bit stronger when you've got your arms higher up. You're going to get into your spiral line. You're going to get into your arm lines. So all these lines of connectivity, they're parasitic. They cross over each other. They work together. So drop the sit bone, lift the elbow, belly button to spine and rotate. The breathing, we're breathing in as we rotate. Use the diaphragm to help stabilize the spine. Breathing out as we center. Breathing in. Feels sort of delicious once you find your range, find the amount of effort you need to use. And slowly come back into center and take the arms down. So taking the half roller out. So the final one, you come forward on your chair and you're going to put your right elbow on your right thigh. You're going to take the other arm down and you're just going to do a little reach. You're going to pull your belly button in, pull to the shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend and look up. Hand to shoulder, hand down. So do it sort of sequentially. To the shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend and look up. So it's really getting into your obliques and some of those long muscles of your back. Pull to the shoulder, rotate and look up. So we're doing 10, reaching down, pull to the shoulder, look at the shoulder, looking up. The chin is slightly retracted so that although you're using your neck muscles, you're stabilizing your neck as you rotate and look. So the more I do this, the more I can feel the involvement of my pelvic muscles as well. So the back of my pelvis is working, my hips are working, abs are working. Last one. So we've done the top half of our kinetic chain. Come back in. So put the elbow on the left side and on the left thigh, right arm down, nice and slow on the first one, pull to the shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend. I can feel I'm quite a bit stiffer on this side, so I'm going to slow it right down and I'm going to pull my belly button in towards my spine to give my spine the support that it needs. And just do it slow. Give your body time to organize. Look at the shoulder, look at the hands, getting easier though with each one. Hand to shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend. Hand to shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend. 4 more. Hand to shoulder, look at the shoulder, extend. And again. 1 more. Come back in. So just carefully pull your abs in and come back into sitting and just assess, just drop your shoulders, just move your neck. So as you've dealt with all down through here, there's less tendency for the head to have to compensate and shift forward. And if you look at your sitting, you should be a nice neutral spine now and not in that slump with the head forward. So that's the top half. So we're going to come into legs now.